Hi everybody. I thought I would make this video talking about my middle school and high school experience. I see a lot of these videos on YouTube and they're pretty much all the same story, how they were popular and how they had such good years throughout high school. Well, I thought that I would share my experience with you, and I hope you can hear me okay because I'm kind of sitting far back. And ignore the scenery. We're currently in a motel right now because our apartment isn't quite ready yet, so for now we're staying in a hotel for a night. So I'm just going to be talking about my middle school years and then working my way up to high school all the way to graduation to the present time. And I have my dogs here with me, so if you hear them barking, just excuse them. And if I say a lot, that's just how I process my thoughts, so just kind of ignore that. I know I say a lot in a lot of my videos, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started with my middle school experience. I went to Byron Center Public Schools for most of my schooling, and in 7th and 8th grade I went to Byron Center West Middle School here in Byron Center, and it's kind of a rural area, very hick town, very a big, like it's a small community with like rich snotty people, and that's where I ended up going to school. So in 7th grade I was 13 years old, and in 7th grade I was a pretty average kid. I had a lot of friends, I got good grades, I was a cheerleader, I had really long, pretty blonde hair, everyone loved me. I hung out with friends a lot, I had a boyfriend, all that good stuff. And towards the middle to end of my 7th grade year, things started to go downhill with the boyfriend that I had. We had broken up, the average middle school relationship, they never last. So we ended up breaking up, and he would spread rumors about me. He would turn my friends against me, all that kind of stuff. So towards the end of 7th grade, things were really rocky for me, and I was bullied a lot by him and his friends, and rumors were spread all throughout the school about me that weren't true, just stuff like that. And I went into that summer without many friends. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't hang out with anyone like I used to. I kept maybe a couple friends that I would talk to regularly, but other than that, I didn't have the group of friends that I once had in the beginning of my 7th grade year. So, to start the new school year was coming up for my 8th grade year, and I didn't want to go back to that middle school because of all the rumors that were spread about me. I was really embarrassed and I didn't want to go back. So instead of going to the West Middle School, I ended up going to Byron Center Charter School. And charter schools are they're not a private school, but it's a school where they don't have buses. Your parents have to bring you to and from the school. It's very old-fashioned. All your classes are in one room with the same people, with one teacher. So it was very, very different for me. And when I started my 8th grade year, my look completely changed. I went from being a cheerleader to quitting cheerleading and quitting gymnastics, the two things that I loved the most in middle school. And my appearance started to change. I chopped all my hair off. I had long, gorgeous hair down to like my belly button. It was beautiful, it was long and blonde, and I had actually cut off my hair, so my hair was about to here on me, and I had dyed it black. I'll insert a picture of what I looked like during my 8th grade year right now. And I would only wear black clothes. I had chains everywhere. You know, my music changed. Like, I would listen to heavier stuff. So my appearance completely changed, 100%. And I mean, that's like most middle schoolers. You know, they usually change their appearance a few times throughout school. So that is what happened. And when I went to the charter school, my look wasn't accepted there. You know, they had a lot of really, what would you call it, like, really, preppy looking girls, you know, like the average clothes, no makeup, they didn't do anything dramatic to their hair. So when I went to that school, I was looked at by the parents, by the students, and the teachers as like the Satan child, and everybody looked at me and treated me different because of the way I looked in that school. And I made one friend who actually came from the West Middle School as well. Her name was Danae, and we actually got really close. She was the only person that didn't judge me. So she was my only friend there. I only stayed at the charter school for one marking period, so 9 weeks I was there, and then I had to leave because even leaving the West Middle School, I was still bullied at the charter school, so really switching schools didn't help my situation at all. So I ended up going back to the West Middle School because I couldn't bear the criticism anymore from the parents and teachers. Like, they would talk to my mom and tell my mom that they're praying for me and that I should probably look into getting help, and it was just ridiculous. So I went back to the West Middle School, and when I went back, it was going into the second marking period, and by that time everyone had their own clique of friends. You know, it was the preps, the jocks, the stoners, the, you know, all those cliques like that you see in schools. And 8th grade year was complete hell for me when I went back. I had no friends. I had lost all my friends because during that summer I didn't talk to anyone, and when I went back I didn't talk to any of my old friends that I kept. Everyone would make fun of the way I looked. They made fun of my hair, they made fun of my makeup, they made fun of the way I dressed. They called me emo. At lunch I would eat alone. Sometimes I wouldn't even go to lunch at all, so I wouldn't even eat during school. I really only had Danae, which she stayed at the charter school, so I didn't have any friends that were actually in school with me, so that was really hard. I skipped a lot of days in 8th grade. I didn't even want to go to school because I was bullied so bad by everybody. You know, face to face they were nice to me. Like, people would come up and say hi and stuff like that, but behind my back it did a complete 180, and they would just, you know, say stuff about me. Say, oh my gosh, look at all that makeup she has on, look at her hair, why is she so emo, why is she in Byron Center, blah blah blah. Stuff like that. It was terrible. Then the next summer, before my freshman year of high school, I turned 15, and due to all the bullying and criticism, I changed my look. My hair had grown out a little bit, and I went and got it dyed blonde. I still had the kind of like the punk look to me. I wore all black clothes, and I still wore the heavy eye makeup and you know, the chains and all that stuff. Then during my freshman year is when MySpace was really big, and when I was 15 I would take kind of risque pictures, because being a 15-year-old who had no friends and was looking for attention, I was looking for attention in all the wrong ways. I would take very risque pictures, very provocative pictures, which didn't help my situation at school at all, because people, when I would go to school, they would just make fun of my MySpace pictures, and they would call me a slut, you know, say all these really mean things to my face. All throughout high school, all 4 years, I ate alone at lunch. I didn't have anybody. to sit with or hang out with. I had gotten another boyfriend throughout high school. We dated from 8th grade up until the start of my junior year, I think. So we dated for about 4 years, and he went to the high school, and he was really the only person I had to go to. But that didn't stop the bullying, because people would look at him and be like, "Oh, you're just a stupid punk slut, blah blah blah," all this really mean stuff. I got made fun of for my clothes because they were from Hot Topic and they weren't from Hollister or Abercrombie. I was called emo several times a day and a slut all the time in school. And I hated being a freshman because, in high school when you're a freshman, you're at the bottom of the chain. So that was hard, and then on top of being bullied by everybody for the way I looked made it 10 times as hard. So 8th grade and my freshman year, 9th grade, were really, really hard for me. The next year, my sophomore year, was a little bit better. I changed my hair once again. I made it so it's more natural looking. I just went and get highlights and lowlights to make it look more natural. When I was a sophomore, my sister came, and she was a freshman, and my sister was my best friend, so I loved having her there with me. So I had someone to eat lunch with. People started to become more friendly towards me because as the years went on, I slowly came out of my punk stage, and they would come up to me and be a little nicer to me, but still I was bullied no matter what. I had no real friends, I guess is what you could say. I never hung out with anybody. And then on top of being bullied at school, my home life didn't get any better either. Me and my mom were always at each other's necks, constantly fighting, constantly not getting along, arguing, bickering, everything. She would yell at me about school, I would yell at her about treating me like crap, just everything a teenager does. So when I was 16, my sophomore year, I moved away to this place called The Bridge, which is for, I guess you could say, troubled teens that don't get along with their parents at home, and it's like a live-in place that you go and stay for a while, and you get like counseling and therapy and group sessions, stuff like that. So I lived there for about 2.5 weeks, and I had therapy and all that good stuff. And then from The Bridge, I would go to school, and having the stress of being at The Bridge and working on me and my mom's relationship, I had to go to school every day and with the bullying or being looked at for my looks. And I would get a lot of in-school suspensions for my clothes because I had a lot of ripped clothes, and in Byron Center you can't have anything ripped because, God forbid, you can't afford fucking expensive clothes. So I got a lot of in-school suspensions for my clothes. Teachers judged me, because teachers in Byron Center, they pick favorites a lot. If you're a jock who wears acceptable clothing and looks like a normal average girl, you are a favorite in their eyes. If you couldn't afford clothes, you were very shy, you didn't play any sports or participate in school, and you looked different from any other girl, teachers would judge you, and that's exactly what happened to me. I had so many issues with so many teachers throughout high school because of the way I looked. They're very judgmental along with the students, and that was really hard to go through. And then to go home that night to The Bridge and deal with counseling, like, I was just a bomb waiting to go off. It was just very stressful. High school was just a very stressful time in my life. It wasn't anything, worth remembering, and I actually wrote everything down about school to keep me from, going off or having a breakdown and crying, because high school just wasn't a good thing. They say that high school is the best time of your life, when really it was probably the worst time I've ever had in my life. So moving on, the summer before junior year, I had started my YouTube channel, this one. which was originally called Bree IDGAF, I don't give a fuck. So Bree I Don't Give a Fuck YouTube channel was started, and I thought that since the bullying had calmed down, I thought, okay, I can start a YouTube channel because, you know, I don't have many friends, so why not let my feelings out through a camera? Because I'm not afraid to talk to a camera like I am afraid to talk to other people. So I started that, and again, it's like with the MySpace pictures, I made a lot of really dumb videos, looking for attention from anybody, and that didn't help my case at all because I got made fun of because I made a lot of risque dancing videos, which for those of you who have been subscribed to me for as long as I've had my channel know what my videos used to be like, what they went from being to what they are now. I got bullied so hard for this YouTube channel, and I still have a couple people who actually do make fun of me for my YouTube channel. Like on this particular video, I'm going to disable liking it or disliking it because I still have a few people who do make fun of me for my YouTube channel. So anyway, my junior year, I started to come into my own. I started to realize who I was. You know, I changed the way I looked to where I wanted to look. I had, you know, blonde hair with highlights, you know, that stuff. I always dressed good for school. I always did my makeup really pretty. I started to think of myself as a really pretty person on the outside to make myself feel better on the inside, because on the inside I had so much bottled up and so many emotions that I thought maybe if I express myself what I feel on the outside, then it'll make me feel better on the inside. So my junior year, I started to get more attention from people, like people would call me pretty and stuff like that, and that made me feel good because I was like, oh, maybe I can get a friend, or maybe I can, you know, get a few people that I can hang out with and, you know, have a friend. Before I graduated, but that wasn't the case. I was so bullied for my YouTube channel. People called me a slut. They would imitate my videos in the hallway. Like, if you saw my Waka Waka video I did with my sister, I am in my underwear in it, and people would like imitate me in the hallways or whatever like that, saying that my makeup made me look like a clown, stuff like that, name calling and all the other stuff. However, even though I was bullied for this YouTube channel, my junior year, I started to forget about those things, and I started to not let it affect me like I used to let it. And every time someone would say something about it, I would just brush it off, you know, whatever. You know, I'm 17 years old, my junior year, and I thought, you know, why let it affect me? Why go through my whole life, you know, feeling bad or guilty about what people think of my YouTube channel? So, still, again, junior year, I ate alone at lunch. Every time we had an assembly, I sat alone. In high school, you have dances regularly. Throughout all 4 years, I only went to 2. One was with homecoming. Was homecoming that I went with my boyfriend at the time, and then the other one I went with my sister and her boyfriend. So I only went to 2 dances. I never attended prom, which is something really big in high school that you get to look forward to. However, I didn't go. I never went to a party with friends. I never had a best friend in high school. I never got my license, never got a car. I was just very at the bottom of the high school compared to everybody else who, you know, would drive their Mustangs to school and went to prom and were popular. That was not me. I was just the one everyone picked on, no matter what I did. If I tried to fit in, I'd get picked on. If I tried to be myself, I'd get picked on. So it was just not a good thing. So then, August of 2011, I turned 18, and I started my senior year that fall, and I actually made two friends that one became my walking partner, Sam, and then my other friend, Trent. Those were my only two friends that were nice to me. And I felt like once I became friends with them, I could start fresh with relationships. I had got a new boyfriend who is Chance, who you all know. I started dating him close to the end of my junior year. So I started fresh, with friends, a new boyfriend, got out of a terrible relationship, and at lunch I would eat lunch with Trent, and then I'd eat lunch with Sam. So that was really nice to be able to experience lunch for the first time eating with friends. My senior year was probably the most productive one because they say senior year is the easiest, but for me, it was the hardest because there was a lot of homework, and I had a couple friends, and I also had a boyfriend, so I was juggling all of that. It kept me really busy. The bullying had actually stopped my senior year. I mean, people still had their opinions about me, but they didn't make it vocal. They wouldn't call me a slut anymore. They never made fun of the way I dressed, my makeup, everything like that. Everything stopped, which made me feel really good. Towards the end, the middle to end of my senior year, I started getting tattoos, because again, I started to discover who I was, and I really wanted to express myself in that way, so I went and started getting tattoos and piercings. And my senior year, my junior and senior year is when I started to really like myself. I really started to consider myself as a beautiful person. I didn't let people's opinions affect me because I know that I'm pretty and things could be much worse. I look at the positive side of things. I try not to look so heavily on the negative things. So that's when I started to come into myself and get to know myself and express myself the way I wanted. So that was really nice, and I think that's what kind of stopped the bullying, because I was so vulnerable. So people think, oh, she's vulnerable, so I can bully her and it'll affect her. But once I started to become okay with myself and develop who I was, people said, oh, she's really grown up, so why bully her because it won't affect her, stuff like that. And even if someone would say something that would have hurt me 3 years ago, it didn't affect me anymore. So last May of 2012, I finally graduated high school, and which was a big accomplishment to me, because even though I was an average student, I still kind of struggled with certain subjects like any other teenager does. And I just thought it was a really big accomplishment for me to go through everything that I went through with boyfriends, mom, school, bullying, YouTube, MySpace, everything like that. Being able to graduate on time and get that diploma was a sign of you did it. You got all your credits on time. You did it. You got through the bullying, and you got through the fights with your mom. You got through the terrible relationships. You didn't let the bullying get to you so hard. I was very, very, very happy that day. It was probably one of the best days of my life, besides getting my dogs. That was a really good day. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I started to get a little emotional at the end because, that was just a really big deal to me. It was kind of hard to make. This video was hard to make because, I don't really like to relive school and relive all those bad memories and relive all those nasty comments, but I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you're still in school right now and you're going through the similar things that I went through in school, I just want to tell you that you will get through it. You will struggle, you will cry, you will give in to peer pressure, you will change your look to hopefully satisfy people. But no matter what, you will get through it, and you will discover who you are, and you will think of yourself as a better person. And the day you walk up on stage and get your diploma, I promise you there will never be a better feeling than that. To know that you got through school, the public school system, and you made it through. So just please hang in there. If you guys are being bullied and you're still in school, know that I'm here for you and I can help you. If any of you who went to school with me who had bullied me, I just want you to know that my YouTube channel still is going, obviously, and everything that you've ever said on my YouTube channel or said to me in the hallways doesn't affect me, because I'm going to keep doing YouTube videos because I like to do them, and I think in some way I'm helping people out by making YouTube videos and making this particular video talking about my experience. But remember, you're still in school. Just be yourself. Don't let anybody affect you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with more videos. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this kind of gave you a better look at who I am as a person and everything that I've been through. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with more videos. Bye.